Welcome to Mysteries Niger. I'm your host, Esther. There was a boy who was sent to school, and his school was far away from where his family lived, so he had to live at the school. It is a boarding school and elite school where only the kids from well-off families can school there because it's expensive, it's elite, and it's prestigious. And it's the type of school that if you school there, you must be academically gifted, as a school that's that prestigious would require a high academic talent or intelligence to be admitted into such school. This boy was very smart, intelligent, and energetic, has so much hopes for the future, dreams and goals and purpose. So he gets to the school, finishes the first year, but before the end of the first year at school, each year is divided into 3 terms. So by the end of the 3rd term, he was approached by a senior student from the school who came to him and told him, "You saw your sister naked." And he goes, "What? No, I didn't." And he said, "Yeah, you did. You saw your sister naked." He says, "No, I didn't." And the boy said, "Well, I'm telling you, you saw your sister naked. You have to repeat after me, 'I saw my sister naked.'" He says, "No, I didn't see her naked, so I'm not gonna say that." He gets jumped. Apparently the boy beats him up so bad that eventually he agreed and repeated that he saw his sister naked. The senior student who just made this young boy, this freshman, confirm that he saw his sister naked, walks to the freshman's sister and tells the sister, "You won't believe it. Guess what? Your brother just told me that he's seen you naked." And the sister was like, "What?" She got angry. The younger brother, baby brother, so she marches to him to confront him. "When did you see me naked? And even if you did, why would you tell someone that?" When she meets the brother, she sees him writing on a piece of paper. She asks him, "What are you writing?" She's really mad. But first she needs to be calm with him because at the end of the day, this is her baby brother. So she asked him, "What are you writing?" And he says, "I'm writing the name of a senior student who just beat me up and forced me to admit that I saw you naked." The sister was shocked because the name on the paper the brother just wrote was the same name of the boy who came to her to report her brother to her. And she tells him, "He just told me that you told him that you saw me naked. He made me say it. He beat me up till I said it." Now the sister's upset. She's really mad and she wants the boy punished for it because not only did he lie about it, he hurt her brother and tried to cause issues between her and her baby brother, then run over to her to act a saint. So she wants him to pay for it. And ultimately because she feels very betrayed because this said senior happens to be her friend. That's what the sister told us. In a few weeks, her baby brother would be dead, and a couple of seniors from the school would be accused by the family of the dead student being involved in his death. This is the case of Sylvester Oromoni. This episode is intended for informational and storytelling purposes only and does not seek to defame or misrepresent any individuals or institution. All individuals mentioned are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Let's get into it. Have you ever heard of the concept called the bystander effect? It's basically the idea that the more people who witness something wrong happening, the less likely any person is to step in because everyone assumes someone else will act, someone else will report it, someone else will stop it, and sometimes by the time anyone does anything about it, it's already too late. Schools are supposed to be controlled environments, structured, supervised, predictable. Parents send their children to school believing there are systems in place, rules, staff, authority, protection, trust. But every now and then there's a story that breaks the forces There's a story that breaks people's focus, brings questions to mind about how much safety we can really place on the school and how much of it we shouldn't. There are cases that happen that reminds us that the only places that our children are truly safe are home, in our care, right before our very eyes. Just a few episodes ago, we talked about the Anifa Abubakar case where a young girl was abducted by the school headmaster just because he had financial issues. He abducted the girl, reached out to the family for ransom money after he already killed the girl just because the girl recognized him. And that was the headmaster who was supposed to keep her safe. He abducted her after many failed attempts. And today's case is very similar because it's one of the most controversial school-related deaths in recent Nigerian history. This is the case of Sylvester Oromoni, a student, a series of allegations, conflicting narratives, and a death that sparked national outrage. Sylvester was born on December 4th, 2009, and unfortunately he passed away on November 30th, 2021, just 4 days before his 12th birthday. So when he was 11, he was sent to secondary school, which is the same as middle school. In high school, he was in junior secondary 2 at the time of his death. That same as being in middle school. I have explained in a previous episode the hierarchy of education, where we have the reception or the daycare, which are basically the babies who are there to eat and sleep, cry, miss their mommies and daddies, poop, have snot running down their noses from crying so hard, and happily skip to their parents at the end of the day, learning absolutely nothing. Hopefully by the end of the school year, they'll start getting used to being in school, probably stop crying so much. And the nurseries, they start learning their alphabets and lots of rhymes. The grade classes from grade 1 to grade 6 or 5, depending on the school. And then junior secondary 1 to 3, which is same as middle school. And senior secondary 1 to 3, which is same as high school. And he was in JSS 2, which is junior secondary 2 at the time of his demise. There were incidents that happened right from the first year he joined the secondary school, leading up to his second year at the school. Sylvester was described by his family to be highly intelligent, mature, and smart kid who had interest in computer science, programming, electrical science, football, and even aspired to be a pilot when he grew older. You can tell that he was academically gifted, given that he going to a school that's considered a school for the elite kids. He was admitted into a school known as Dowen College. And if you see the images of the school and the school marketing flyers, you see the kids in nice suits and, pants and jackets and skirts and tie, white sparkling shirts and nicely groomed, and you can tell these aren't kids who worry about lunch or money for textbooks. And the school is a nice building with a gate. It's well fenced, and from the outside it looks pretty secure. It's a mixed gender school and also has the boarding options. Sylvester lived in Delta State with his family in Warri, but because the school was in Lagos, he had to be sent to the school in Lagos. He had to join the boarding policy or the boarding system. He came from a big family. His parents birthed 11 kids. He had older siblings who previously schooled at the school, so it wasn't just him. He had an elder brother who schooled there, graduated, and eventually his life became so bright that he relocated to Canada and had a great life. So the father naturally sent more of his kids to the school. The parents gave birth to 4 sons and 7 daughters. So after the first son graduated and made it to do great things in his life, the parents naturally send more kids to the school because they believe, okay, they're doing a great job. They're teaching our kids all they need to know to set them up for a better future. So he ended up sending another daughter to the school and then a second daughter to the school. And Sylvester was sent to the school as well. And he was the baby of the family. He was the 11th out of the 11th. So naturally, he's the baby of the family to everyone. He's smart, intelligent, cheerful, energetic, and the father was so excited because his birth was by far the most difficult. All the other siblings were birthed naturally, but he was the only one who was birthed through cesarean section. Since that was the case, the parents decided, okay, enough kids, we've had enough. Let's focus on giving them the best childhood ever. So the father told him, I will always make your birthday a very big one, the biggest out of everyone, because again, baby of the family, without negotiation, everything that comes to him would always be the best out of everyone. I mean, there's lots of benefits from that. You have older siblings who are grown, making money. He would have lived the absolute best life ever. I mean, the kind of life that you'd never want for anything. You'd have this huge loving family who just want to do nothing but support you and make sure that you're always happy. So his dad told him, I will make your birthday the biggest out of everyone's every year. But he told his dad, I don't really mind. I don't care if my birthday isn't that big every year. I just want you to keep celebrating my birthday. Even if anything were to happen to me and I'm no longer here, I'd like for you guys to always celebrate my birthday and always remember me. And it just showed how thoughtful he was. Didn't want an extravagant party. He just wanted to be loved. That's all he wanted. He gets admitted into the school. He has 2 older sisters in the school as well, living there as well, boarding just as himself. The first few months, everything's going really smooth, nothing to write home about. Pleasant experience. If you don't know anything about boarding schools, mostly Nigerian school system, operates under a deeply entrenched traditional framework that's inherited by the British colonial education model. And it's marketed as a highly disciplined environment that fosters independence and leadership. Many secondary boarding institutions, both public and elite private schools, follow these structures and beliefs, which in turn leads to the autonomous prefect and seniority system, which is a structure of boarding facilities that's governed by a very rigid hierarchy based on age and class, and also a semi to almost normalized culture of bullying and fagging, which obviously is hidden from the school administrative in most cases, as well as severe gaps in adult supervision depending on the size of the school. Also in some cases, outdated emergency medical policies, which the Nigerian government have been implementing new rules and measures to mitigate all of this. So he gets to school. The school boarding system was basically, they had dormitories or hostels for the males, which was separate from the hostels for the females. But then each of these hostels didn't really separate the students based on their grades or age. So each dormitory or hostel could have students from JSS1 and students in SS3, SS1, SS2, JSS3. So it's like mixes them up. It's kind of randomized, so you have senior students living in the same dormitory as the junior students, but mostly not in the same room. You could be in the same room, but it's randomized, and these senior students are all mixed up with the junior students, the freshmen even. Before the end of the first year, Sylvester is approached by one of the senior students who told him about the seeing his sister naked incident that I mentioned earlier, and he said, no, I didn't. But then he told the sister he was beat up until he accepted that he saw the sister naked. And then the guy went to the sister and told the sister what the brother said to him, which he went to the brother and found out why he said it and under the circumstance that he said it. So she was very upset, clearly not at her brother anymore. After finding out what happened, she was no longer mad at the brother, so she went to one of the school's school administrators and reported the incident to her. The teacher asked her to write her report of the incident, that she would take it to her bosses so the situation could be handled appropriately. appropriately. She wrote her report of the incident, but it was almost school break, school holiday break. So they went home, her and the brother, they went home. After she heard about it, the senior male student who was her friend that apparently beat up her brother for the nasty report ended up trying to apologize to her, kept trying to apologize to her, but she wasn't interested in the apology. She just wanted the school to handle it and he could maybe get suspended for some time. She wanted him to be suspended so he could feel the gravity of what he did. So he kept trying to apologize to her. He found her on Instagram and started to message her apologies and saying he wanted to apologize to her better and asked for her number so he could call her and apologize. So at this point, she's feeling hounded and pestered. So she just gave him the number to hear whatever he had to say. But according to her, she had already made up her mind that she wasn't going to forgive him unless the school punished him first. Otherwise, he wouldn't learn his lesson. He would call to apologize. She'd listen, but it didn't change her mind. And then the apology turned physical. He'd show up in person and try to apologize to her to the point that other students and friends would start telling her, you should just forgive him and let it go. Just forgive him. He's apologizing. Just forgive him and let it go. Why are you still making this a big deal? And she says, no, I would say no to. It's one thing if you want to say that about me, but why do you have to drag my baby brother into it? So I totally understand her. So she said no, she's not going to let it go. She went to the administrator again. What's going on? At this point, she's crying. He's hounding me. And he reached out to me on Instagram. He's been contacting and trying to apologize for it. Why isn't he punished yet? She's crying. She's upset. She told them, my brother is also suffering as a result of it. He's going around and telling people not to talk to my brother, telling my brother's friends not to talk to him anymore because he's a snitch. Why isn't he punished yet? He should be suspended. According to the sister, the administrators totally tunnel visioned onto the Instagram conversation and completely ignored the main complaint and started asking her, how come he reached you on Instagram? Why do you have an Instagram account? Why do you have an Instagram account? You shouldn't be having that. Why are you having that? And she kept telling them, that's not the main issue right now. We can discuss that later. I'm here because of what he said, because of what he did to my brother. Can we focus on that instead? Okay, we're gonna deal with it later. Let's deal with this now. But then they'll turn around and say, you need to hand over your phone because we need to see this conversation ourselves. We need to go through the entire conversation to see what you guys said to each other. And she said, that is not important right now. I am here to report a bigger issue. Can we at least solve that first? So she told them, at least can I call my dad? I need to speak to my dad. I need to at least let him know what's going on in school. They told her she didn't need to call anyone. She couldn't call anyone because they were going to fix it. They were going to handle it. She should just give time. She didn't need to speak to anyone or anything. She went back and asked one of her roommate if she could borrow the roommate's phone to call her family. She hid and called her sister and was crying on the phone, telling sister everything. And the sister tried to comfort her and make her feel better and say, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. It's going to get settled. Just give it time. Okay, it's all right. I'm really sorry to hear this. You'll be fine. Just anything to help her feel better. And it was almost school break. So she's just holding on, just holding in there, waiting to see what's going to happen. School break comes around. She and the baby brother Sylvester, they go back home. That was when she reported the entire incidents to her father, her parents, and the parents were thinking of changing Sylvester's school, sending him to a different school. But they thought, if this is really how it is, it's best if he is where he has his elder siblings looking out for him, keeping an eye on him, instead of sending him to a different school where he's all by himself and trying to acclimate again. He's already spent the first year getting used to the school. If we send him to a new one, he'd have to get used to a new school and he'd be there all by himself without even any of his siblings to keep an eye and be with him. So they decided to let him continue at the school. And they thought, again, one of our sons finished there and he's living a good life. So they are teaching them everything they need to learn academically. He tried to make the kids feel better and all that, what any parents would do. school break was over, Sylvester and his immediate elder sister, which was the sister that was reporting to the administrators, went back to school. The other sister, who was older than the other two, graduated. She just took her final high school exams, so she wasn't going to return back with them. She was done with high school. The immediate older sister and Sylvester returned to the school. And when they got back, that's when the sister realized this said male student that was saying these things about her, he returned to school as well. So she's asking, how come he's not suspended? Why is he back with us? She pushed at it again and again and again, and she was really upset. Why is he back here? Why is he not suspended? And she wasn't gonna let it go. Ever. Some time passed. On a Monday, their mother got a call back in Worry. Sylvester was very sick. She got a call from the school nurse who called the mom and told her, "Ma'am, your son is seriously sick. You guys need to come get him. He's very, very sick." When they heard that, the parents thought, he's in Lagos. We're all the way over here in Worry. We can't go get him right now. But since they're telling us he's seriously sick and we need to come get him, we need to go get him. The dad called one of his son's friends. I think maybe they called him because he was in Lagos at the time. They called the friend if he could go get Sylvester. The friend goes to the school, sees Sylvester, and immediately calls the parents back. "I'm here. They told me that he got injured while playing football, hurt his ankle, but he's severely hurt. He's in pain. There's literally no part of his body that's not in pain. He can't walk on his own. He can't talk. He can barely talk. And when he talks, he just keeps telling me that he got injured while playing football, but he can't walk. I tried to lift him, but basically every part of his body I touch puts him in a world of more hurt. I think something's going on here." The dad called the son, one of his sons, and was like, go. Your brother needs help." The dad decided he was gonna go see what's really happening with his son. He immediately rushes over to Lagos, and when he sees the boy, he's in so much pain. And when he could talk, he just kept repeating, he played football, he hurt his leg, he hurt himself. That was it. So the dad decided, we need to take him back to Worry so we can take care of him properly and be close to the rest of the family for support. The dad goes online, tries to book flights for them, but because it was last minute, there were no available seats on any of the flights, so they decided to travel by road. During the trip, it was a rough ride for Sylvester. He kept complaining that his throat was burning, his mouth was hurting, his chest was hurting, his back, everything. He would lay on the back seat and there would be a pillow under his head, and then he'd complain his body's hurting and he needs to switch sides, and he was just restless. When they got home, the dad said he's in a world of pain and so uncomfortable. There is no hospital that's going to try to make him comfortable as his family. So we won't take him to any hospital clinic. Call the doctor to come to the house and treat him. So at least we can do everything to make him recover comfortably. He's in so much pain. Every part of his body is hurting. No one's going to take care of him more than family. So they called a doctor to come to the house. The doctor examined him, also ran some tests on him. And when the results were out, the doctor told the family that he had malaria and decided to treat him. Now, malaria is a very common illness which is caused by mosquitoes. Sometimes it could be very life-threatening. Life-threatening to, I'd say people from other parts of the world where they don't have an extreme amount of mosquitoes, because most Nigerians are almost immune to malaria. We've had it so much to the point that your body's not even bothered by it anymore, except for maybe really, really young ones who are just getting it for the first time. Malaria will hardly kill you unless maybe you have other underlying issues, and malaria is part of the illnesses that exacerbates things. I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but the doctor told the family that he had malaria and he was then treated for malaria. A few days later, his mouth started to peel off. It started cracking and he was bleeding. It was reddish. He kept reaching for his mouth, his throat. He kept complaining it's hurting, it's burning and all that. The family didn't really know how to help him, so they kept trying every means to make him comfortable and help him recover. The dad had to travel for a brief period. For a few days, the family tried everything they could at the time to help him recover, but eventually he succumbed to the pain. He died. But before he died, the family say and tell the world that he actually told them the real reason why he was in so much pain. The father reported to us that Sylvester told them he was beat up and bullied by some male students, senior students. So according to the father, he says Sylvester told them he was in his hostel room on one evening, nighttime. It's probably almost bedtime. And I guess they sleep with their lights on because they're kids and they need light. You don't know who. Probably some sleep without light. Some are used to sleeping with light. So light on for everyone just to make sure the kids are safe and no one has an accident. So he's in his bed, in his bunk, the lights on, and suddenly 5 male seniors walk into his room. The minute they walked in, one of them quickly switched and they walked right to him and started to beat him and kept beating him right in his bed. They beat him to the point that he fell off the bed to the floor, and they started to stomp on him. They stomped on him over and over and over and over again. And according to the father, when they were done beating him up, they put something to his lips, forced him to drink a liquid. Lights off, has no idea what he's been made to drink. And then they left. Soon enough, he got ill. He was taken to the school sick bay, and eventually the nurse called them to come get him. The family believed he was beaten up by the senior students, and then perhaps they poisoned him via the fluid they made him drink. So when Sylvester died, the father called the police to report the incident and to report the death. The police came to the house. They saw him. They took pictures, took report of the incident. He was transported to the morgue. The state-run morgue and a pathologist ran an autopsy on Sylvester, and he reported that he extracted a dark black fluid from him, which was sent for a toxicology test. The parents were very vocal about it. The school was shut down pending investigation. The 5 students that were accused of being involved in the bullying incident were arrested by police pending investigation. The school ended up releasing their own report saying that there was no signs of bullying or even the incident of him being beat up or poisoned. There was no signs of cultism at the school because the parents believed he was beaten up because he was propositioned to join the school gang, a gang that was formed at the school, but he said no, and the members got upset and beat him up. That was the parents' belief, and the school debunked it, saying there are no signs of any type of school unruly society or even proof of the bullying or any substance being administered to the boy. Due to the police being involved, the Lagos State Police involved because the school is in Lagos. Lagos authorities decided to run a second autopsy on the boy to decipher the cause of death, and the second autopsy was a very big major one because it had 9 pathologists present, and the 9 pathologists consisted of 4 pathologists that were representing 4 of the accused students, 2 pathologists from the state, making it 6, 1 pathologist from Warri State, which is the same pathologist from the Warri State Police Authority that conducted the first autopsy, and 2 student pathologists who were still learning pathology, making it a total of 9. So 4 from 4 of the accused students, 2 from the state, making it 6, 1 from the Warri State authorities who conducted the first pathology, making it 7, and 2 students pathologists who were still learning pathology, making it 9. They were all there. According to Sylvester Sr. and one of the pathologists from the team of pathologists pathologists. The autopsy was supposed to have started by 6 a.m., but they were unable to begin by 6, so they had a meeting from 6 to 4 p.m., and then by 4 or 4:30, the autopsy started up to 9 p.m. They made incision on his foot, according to one of the pathologists who gave an interview of the pathology proceeding, and she said they made an incision on one of his foot that looked wrinkly and a bit darker than the rest of the skin. They made an incision. They saw that the inside looked a bit bruised and there was pus in it, so they took a sample of it to be tested. They also checked all of his cavities. They also checked his chest, examined his lungs and hearts and every other internal organs, and there were impacts. They found a film over the lung, making it look whitish, and they also took samples of every single organ. They tested them all, including the brain, and according to her, most of his organs were really inflamed. His liver, kidney, lung, brain, and most part of his body was also very swollen. They ran so many toxicology tests and ran so many tests to determine the cause of death. Eventually, the result was out. The result said he died as a result of sepsis. This cause of death did not sit well with the family, Sylvester's family. They insisted there must have been another reason why he died. Even if sepsis were to be the reason he died, there must have been a trigger. Something led to the sepsis, because you don't just develop sepsis all of a sudden. There has to be an infection that leads to the sepsis. But the pathologists, all 9 of them, agreed there were no external injuries on his body except for a small cut on his forehead. Other than that, every part of his body looked fine. No injuries or anything. No bruises, just the wrinkly patch on one of his foot. After the report was out, this exonerated the 5 male students from the school, because pathologists all concluded there were no physical signs of abuse or bullying on the boy, so in turn it couldn't have been the 5 boys. The boys were then released. The school was back to operations. This really enraged the public. Mothers were in so much pain because it could have been anyone's child. It could have been anyone's son. So the public was so upset. The parents were enraged. We can't be paying millions every year for our kids to school here, and then something like this happens within the school building, that he has to be taken out of school sick, extremely sick. If it were to be a small sickness, a small injury, or a small health problem, the school could handle it. We're paying you millions per child every year. This family had 3 children in the same school, paying millions yearly. So the fact that the nurse called the parents to come get him meant either they tried to help him and he wasn't getting any better, or they could tell from the onset that it was something major, so they needed the family to come take him to a proper hospital. Regardless, the public was very enraged. People felt saddened. Lots of voices were speaking up about the situation, and this incident really affected the Oromoni family. The tragic death of Sylvester Oromoni Jr. inflicted deep emotional, physical, and psychological trauma on his family, and that led to further tragedy. The family refused to bury Sylvester's body for over 2 years. They kept him in a morgue as a form of protest until January 27, 2024. He was put to rest. But the tragedy didn't end there. 10 months later, Sylvester's mother, evangelist Mrs. Rosemary Oromoni, suffered an extreme decline in her health for months, for years, due to severe depression and high blood pressure, which was caused by the immense sorrow of Sylvester's death and these stressful legal battles that she ended up passing away in November 2024. She was buried on August 9, 2025 in Warri, Delta State. The family remains highly fractured by grief, but they commemorate a solemn 2-in-1 remembrance every November to honor both mother and son who were lost to tragedy within a short span of time. I can't even imagine how sad that is, having to lose 2 family members in a short period of time. The father also had said that for the rest of his life, as long as he lived, he would always celebrate Sylvester's birthday every year and to just keep him in their hearts for the rest of his life. This incident really impacted the boarding school policies in Nigeria. Due to the national outrage following Sylvester's death, Nigerian Ministry of Education radically changed how boarding facilities operate. They now enforce mandatory infrastructure revalidation, which involves regulatory agencies enforcing stricter operational guidelines, as well as physical segregation of dormitories to eliminate structural opportunities for senior intimidation, also to separate the junior students from the senior students in hostels, restricting older students from entering junior students' quarters without adult supervision, and also stripping prefects of disciplinary power, which is very traumatic experience for most students in most places. I don't think it's a Nigerian problem, but the disciplinary power of prefects, I know how many punishments I suffered from prefects for absolutely no reason at all. Sometimes they'll just come up with unreasonable demands like, I'm a child myself and I want to experience what it's like to be a parent, so be my school baby, be my school son, be my school daughter. So every day you're going to see me, you're going to run to me and say, good morning, mommy. And I'm going to be like, good morning, my daughter. How are you? Did anyone bully you today? You say, no, but I'm hungry. Can you buy me snack during lunch? And then they'll buy you snack. Before you know it, they'll start sending on errands. If you say no, they'll threaten to beat you up. Remember, I'm your parent. I gotta discipline you, so do what I say or you're gonna get punished. Before you know it, the power imbalance is terrifying. You could find yourself in really sticky situations that necessarily wouldn't happen if these seniors didn't have the power to punish you. Because sometimes they'd punish you because you said no to a reasonable demand. A teacher would come, ask what happened, why you're being punished, and they'll speak louder than you. They have friends. The friends will overshadow your own voice. They'll make up lies that give you this look of corroborate or start or you're gonna suffer even more later. So then you just shut up and they get away with it. The teachers would believe whatever reasons they have for punishing you because they have disciplinary power. Ministry of Education in Nigeria is stripping that power from prefects, as well as overhauling emergency medical protocols and also enforcing compulsory welfare officers and counseling. Ones the students can trust, ones that actually care about the students and will make sure that the reports are being followed up on. At the time of these incidents, Sylvester's family wholeheartedly believed there were other causes to Sylvester's death and not sepsis. When I saw that, I said to myself, I don't really know much about any illness at all. So what really is sepsis? So I dug into it. I knew that sepsis is a life-threatening emergency situation where your body starts to attack its own tissues and organs. I didn't know much about it at all, so I looked into it. Like I thought, sepsis is a life-threatening medical emergency where your body starts to attack its own tissues and organs. It's not the infection that causes the sepsis that kills people most of the times. It's actually the body's extreme reaction to the infection. So what happens in the body is, as a normal person that's not battling any infection or doesn't have sepsis, you get an infection in your body, any sort of illness, any sort of infection, no matter how little, your immune system immediately starts to fight it. The minute you get an infection, it keeps inflammation controlled and the body slowly starts to heal. But in a case where you get sepsis, the body immediately just goes from normal into overdrive. Immediately, it just jumps right into overdrive, and that causes lots of inflammation throughout the body in places like, say, your lungs, your kidney, your liver, your brain, or even your physical body, not just internally. And it can also lead to things like kidney failure, lung failure, brain dysfunction, heart problems, even death. Because at that point, your blood vessels are leaking, your blood pressure is spiking, and your organs are starting to get enough oxygen. So many things can cause sepsis. Lots of infections like pneumonia, UTI, skin infections, infected wounds, tooth infection, abdominal infection, blood infections, and sometimes even a small cut on yourself. Say you slice a finger while cooking and you have a small cut, you leave it untreated, it festers, becomes aggressive, your vessel bursts, and that infected microbes swim right into your bloodstream and travels to all the other parts of your body and spreads the infection, shutting down your entire body from the inside. And common symptoms of sepsis includes fever, chills, weakness, rapid heartbeat, fast breathing, confusion, extreme pain, sweating. As it worsens, it even gets to situations like blood pressure drops, nails and lips turning pale or blue, difficulty breathing, reduced urination, and even loss of consciousness. In most cases, it goes in stages, from the infection festering and aggravating, then it becomes a sepsis because now it's starting to become health threatening. Then it travels into your other parts of the body, and at that point you get into septic shock because it's traveling to every part of your body, and then it moves to multi-organ failure, which is when it starts shutting down most of your organ. You're losing oxygen, and that's when your organs start to fail. Your blood pressure is becoming dangerously low, and survival chance starts to drop. And at that point, you need emergency medical help. If you get the emergency medical help, you will likely be put on immediate antibiotics, IV fluids, oxygen monitoring, sometimes surgery to remove the source of the infection depending on the severity of the sepsis. And in most cases, it will require ventilators, dialysis, and intensive care. And you'd probably hear doctors keep saying things like, every hour counts, every minute counts. We need to be on our A game, because once the infection starts to spread, your chances of survival dwindles by the hour. And that is the end of my lecture. Call me doctor. I actually had to write most of that down. It's a lot of information, but it's a valid information, which leads me to my theory of what I think happened and what led to Sylvester's death. Before I go into it, this is my theory. As I've labeled it, it's a theory, it's my opinion, which I am entitled to, but my theory or opinion should never be your theory or opinion. Please do your own research, draw your own conclusions, form your own opinions. My theory is my understanding of the situation. It's just my brain trying to give me some closure. So this is just for, again, informational purposes only. I think this said friend, who was friends with Sylvester's immediate elder sister, must have been probably friends for a few terms, months, years, but he's friends with her. But as they grow older, he starts to realize, she's really cool. I actually really like her. I would like to get to know her, perhaps even picture his entire life with her, rest of his life with her, picture perfect future, and then boom, realization. I am in the friend zone. I have been her friend. What are the chances that she's gonna stop seeing me as a friend and start seeing me as a potential boyfriend? So he realizes he has two options. Either try his luck trying to get out of the friend zone, or stay in the friend zone and never get to ruin the friendship. But he still has the liberty to think whatever he wants in his mind. Freedom of thoughts, right? So he starts to think of her, fantasize about her, feed into the crush, and maybe over time, this fantasy starts becoming an infatuation. Again, a theory. So his thoughts, his fantasies slowly begin to become sexual. So maybe to feed into that fantasy, he feels it would become more real for me if someone who actually knows her and perhaps has had the chance to see her before without clothes or less clothes, if they told me they've seen her naked before, it could amplify my visuals. So he marches to the baby brother. You've seen your sister naked before, right? No? Well, you have. No, I haven't. I'm telling you have. Tell me you've seen her naked. He says no. He beats the boy up until the boy says, yes, I have. Satisfied, he marches to the sister. You won't believe it. You won't believe what your brother just told me. He told me he's seen you naked. Can you believe it? Not because he wants to rat the boy out, but because he wants to feed into the fantasy even more. He wants to see her reaction. If she gets embarrassed, gets upset at the brother, and then says something like, "Oh my God, what a stupid boy. I can't believe he told you that. I can't believe he would tell anyone that. Why would he tell anyone that?" Hinting at the fact that maybe the brother did walk in on the sister with little to no clothing. That would excite him even more, because let's be real about it. When was the last time you knocked before walking into your sibling's room? Rarely ever happens. Never ever happens. People magically lose their fingers when they're about to walk into their sibling's room. In fact, the door is invisible. You just march right in, cause havoc, and then march out, leaving the door ajar. Door? Not a real concept. So he was probably hoping that she was gonna get embarrassed. "I can't believe he told you that." So he would immediately run back to the boy and say, "Hey, I spoke to your sister about it, and she confirmed that you did in fact, tell me everything in details." If the boy says no, he would beat him up again until the boy describes in detail to him. And that would give him more visuals for his imagination. Hoping that the boy would never tell the sister he was beat up for the information. And that be that, he would maintain his friendship with her and also relish in his own thoughts and imagination. But unfortunately, the boy ends up telling the sister, "I said it, but it was because he made me. He beat me and made me lie. So now the sister is out for blood. You must be punished." He tries to apologize to make it go away, but she insists you have to pay for it. And now he's realizing, if I get suspended from the school, I'd have to explain to my family and everyone why I was suspended. I'd have to explain to everyone why I was suspended. And that would be probably very embarrassing for him. So he goes to his other big boys' friends and tells them, "This boy's a little snitch. Let's go teach him a lesson." So they storm into his room and they beat him up. That's without including the fact about the drink. The pathologists all said the results came back. There were no toxins in his system. So my theory is without the substance he was made to drink, according to the family. This boy, according to my theory, probably walks in with his friends. They beat him up to shut him up, but they beat him up so badly that he gets bruised internally. He gets injured internally, and so many times people get internally hurt. Maybe you get into an accident or into a brutal fight. Physically you look okay, but internally you're bruised up, you're injured internally, you're bleeding even internally, but physically you look okay, so you think you're okay. And that internal injury starts to fester because there are no antibiotics, there are no medications to help heal the injury. It starts to get worse, it deteriorates and gets infected. And because the infection is literally on the inside, it travels faster. I don't know if that's how it works, but it makes more sense in my head that internal infection would travel faster. It travels fast and starts to cause havoc from the inside. But because from the outside you look okay, people are more likely to think of other reasons why you could be ill without thinking that maybe, especially if you're not at first telling people what really happened, people are literally walking blind. They're trying to help you blindly because they don't even know where to start. So they start from where they assume they should without knowing where to start. Maybe you're afraid to say anything, or because you're even unable to say anything. So my theory is, this is how I think maybe he got interested in the sister, afraid of losing friendship in an attempt to get out of the friend zone. So he concocts this whole situation. The boy tells the sister as is. He gets mad, gets his friends. They go over to his room. They beat him up. He gets internally injured. No one's aware of it. And maybe after beating him up, they tell him, if you tell anyone, we're gonna beat you up more. And if anyone should notice that you are injured, because they're unaware if they physically hurt him since the lights turned off, they tell him, if anyone should see the bruises on your body or the injuries, just tell them you got yourself injured while playing football. Understood? So probably they beat him up, he gets hurt internally, it becomes an injury, it festers, sepsis occurs, and that ends up killing him. That's my theory, which obviously means nothing. It's really heartbreaking. I saw an interview with the mom where the mom was crying out, and I couldn't even go past 30 seconds in the video. It was really heartbreaking. I was really crying seeing the mother in so much pain, and she was crying and asking God for justice. And it's so heartbreaking because I'm a daughter of someone's child. Imagine if anything were to happen to me. And it's clear there are more stories to the event. There are more incidents. There are more truths that are not being explored or perhaps even out in the open. And you know it in your heart that there's more to the story, but there's absolutely nothing you can do. It's the worst kind of pain where you feel like you're ignored, you feel helpless, you feel powerless. And all you try to do is give the best to your child. That's it, just give the best to your child. That's where this case stands, and that's all for today. A student died, allegations spread quickly, public outrage followed, investigations began, and somewhere inside all of that noise, the statements, the online theories, the medical opinions, and legal debates, a family is left grieving the loss of a child. Cases like this become bigger than the individuals involved. They force conversations about bullying, accountability, school culture, and how individuals should respond when something goes wrong under their watch. Even now, years later, people still disagree about what actually happened, who failed, and whether the whole truth was ever made completely clear. My heart's really heavy because just a few episodes ago we talked about Anifa, which was also very gruesome and heartbreaking. Now Sylvester, and this is one of so many cases of children who are being hurt at school. If you have any thoughts on the case, do share it with me. I'd like to know your thoughts and opinion about the case. If you found this episode valuable, please share it, follow the podcast, and support the series. If there were any information that were miscommunicated, misrepresented, or even unclear, or any information that were untrue or vital to the case that were not included, please let me know in the comment below. Do also let me know what case you'd like for me to discuss next. I love you so much for spending the time with me, and I will love you more if you still join me on the next episode. But until then, please take care of yourself. Do stay safe. Live and let live. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.